Okay, as promised, here is the video that I said we were going to do instead of the faculty meeting. I'm still going to ask for some feedback on a couple questions, and we'll do that through this Ed puzzle, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward with whatever schedule we decide. So I want you to know a couple things about the schedule before I start asking the questions. So what we're looking at is mostly in regard to the math and language arts classes. As you can see, they're all color-coded on this screen. The orange stands for the inclusion classes. The IC stands for inclusion. The red stands for the intervention classes. The IV is for intervention. And then the blue is the honors classes. I just put those in recently. You can see down there the like pink, purple, whatever color that is. Those are just places where right now it's Kevin Brenner's schedule, and we have all the intervention and inclusion covered. So he'll be able to help in other areas, maybe science or social studies or something like that. So, but I won't be able to figure that out until we actually put kids in place. So, first thing I want to talk about is the number of intervention classes we have. We actually have the ability to add an additional intervention class, although I don't think additional intervention is needed. Based off the teachers who sent me numbers, most people said about 20 to 30 kids they think will need the intervention. So I think keeping 2 per teacher. So if you look at 7th grade math, Corey's got 1 intervention, Brad's got 1 intervention, Kenny's got 1, Andy's got 1. It's the same thing in 8th grade. So there's 1 per teacher. And I don't think we need a 3rd. However, we do have the ability to put a 3rd. And what we could do with that is make it kind of a gifted pullout where you would pull out all the superior cog kids in the grade level. Now and I just randomly put it in for Andy and Jen. That doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be those people. But it would require some training on their part. They'd have to do some extra PD to be able to actually service the gifted kids. And I don't know if it's necessary, especially when we keep the honors classes in. But we do have the ability to do that. Here's what it would change. If we keep it this view with no gifted and just 2 intervention, that gives us 10 classes per subject per grade level. Okay, so 10 sections of 8th grade math, 10 sections of 8th grade language arts. That puts you at about 26 kids per class. We're estimating 260 kids in the grade level. If there's 10 sections, it's about 26 kids per class. So when you obviously you can't balance it perfectly, so that could go up to 28, 29, 30, could be even a little bit lower, around 22, 23, possibly. I think that's optimistic, but it does divide out to about 26 kids per class. If you add in the gifted, that takes one of our sections of math and language arts away. So for that, like in this instance, I did it just in language arts. You could also go here and make it, what am I doing? It'd probably be here. I could do a math one too. For both grade levels. We have the ability to put that in there. But that would bring the section down to 9 per subject. So instead of 10 sections of math, you only have 9 sections of math. That puts the average class size to about 29. So, that could possibly put it up to 31, 32 when they're unbalanced, and down to, 27, 26 maybe. So it ups the class size, but it also gives us the ability to pull those superior cog kids or other gifted kids and do some different things with them. But again, it requires training. So that's really the first question. What do you think should be our focus? Do you think this idea of having this gifted pullout is a good idea? Or do you like the idea of having smaller class sizes with the honors classes still in there? Honors classes are on both schedules. We still got the honors, but this would be a pullout. It wouldn't be another honors math class. They would have math and then this class. So this gifted would take place of some of the gifted kids elective. Okay, it'd be like an elective class for them. I don't know how it would work, preps, number of preps for teachers and stuff yet. I have to figure that out. So that might throw a wrench into it, but I just want to get your idea of if you like this idea or not of having that, which would raise the class sizes slightly, but possibly give the gifted kids some of the service that they might need, and possibly help us on the report card too. Not that that's the most important thing, but it is there. So that's the first question. Those 2 options: the smaller class sizes versus the adding those gifted things in. Okay, question number one. Second thought I want you to see is what I did with the honors classes. So typically in the past, we've had like one teacher in charge of the honors while the other teacher does mostly inclusion. I know this year the inclusion is split up. Next year I still have the inclusion split up, but I also split up the honors. So for example, Andy and Kenny both have a section of honors language arts. Now what this does, it does create 3 preps for all teachers. So for example, Brad has Math 7, he's got Honors Math 7, and then he's got Math Intervention. So that intervention class would count as a 3rd prep. So it adds an additional prep in there. And it, but what I think it does, the good thing, the reason I did it was because I'm thinking that if right now, with one person being in charge of honors, that is the person who's in charge for differentiation for that honors class. You can share responsibility for the regular class, but then really you got one teacher who's in charge of doing all those things for honors. I think that if it's split up, you can split up the workload a little bit, and then maybe the differentiation and raising the rigor becomes a little bit easier because it's a shared task instead of one person doing it in an island. That was my thought, at least. I have talked to a couple people about it, but not everybody. So that's really the next question is it better to have shared responsibility with those honors classes? Does it force collaboration a little bit? Or should we keep it with one person gets honors and the other person doesn't? Which seems slightly unfair to me, but I don't know. So that's the option. I don't have another example of what it would look like, but it would be one person having the honors class instead of being split up. So that is question number 2. I just want to know what you think about having that split up instead of one teacher teaching honors. Okay, now the rest of it, I want you to know I am still working on all this stuff down here. You can pause and look at what I have right now as far as what you'd be teaching, when you'd be teaching it, and your plan and all that stuff. But I want you to know I'm still working on it. I have another tab, if I can click on it. So I'm looking at numbers and what we have available. You can see all this stuff on the side and the numbers I'm looking at for how many kids we need scheduled in our elective classes. And it's getting kind of tight. I moved some things around to allow people or to allow us to schedule the kids a little bit better. Because for a while I had a bunch of, this red means that we have an issue right there. I had a bunch of red up here, but we've been able to move things around to give us a better chance to service all the kids, but I still am right here. I'm a little nervous about that I don't have enough places for 8th graders to take electives. And then there's a couple other that are really close. So I'm working on that still. I'm trying to figure out what can be done. Talking to Tom, and I'm going to have to talk to Kathy and Jesse still about this, but I just want you to know that this is something I'm still working on. So really the main 2 things I wanted feedback on from you are the intervention, the idea of the intervention and gifted pullout, and the spreading out of the honors. So thanks for listening to this. Please get this back to me question-wise as soon as you can, and then we'll talk about it more in the future. Thanks.